When failure is not an option, what do? Simply, the Bible says you get off the pallet and you put the pallet on you and you move up and move out. My guest today, Justin Gordon, is the epitome of taking little and making a lot out of it. You're going to be inspired. You're going to be encouraged. You're going to be challenged by his testimony, by his story. Join us now.
I'm Josh Trim with Pennington and Trim Alarm Services. We firmly believe in offering the latest and greatest in camera and access control technology. With the Alarm.com platform, we're able to offer a user-friendly and fully integrated service to do just that.
We're a light that shines your way. Let us in and you will find security and peace of mind. Pennington and Trim. Go on and keep on now.
I am so excited that you've joined me today. I am really excited with my guest today. I have a few notes. My program is more so organically led, that I invite the Holy Spirit to come in and direct us. Now, I do my homework, but there are programs that I buckle in and say, okay, God, I know you're going to do something very special today with my guest. And I absolutely know that this is one of these kinds of programs. But first of all, I want to let you know that I sincerely appreciate you. I sincerely do. You have a choice to tune in. You tune in every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, whether it is on our various social media platforms, particularly our own private platform, digital platform, IgniteMS.tv, whether it is on the radio station 104.3 FM, whether it's on all of the other major platforms, any other major platforms. You can tune in to Defining Moments with Larry Nix, and I promise you, you will be encouraged, you will be inspired, and yes, even challenged. The motivation is that you are here providentially, that you embrace your divine purpose and live it with the spirit of excellence. I want to let you know that you matter. You say, well, Larry, how do you know that I matter? The fact that you have breath in your body, the fact that you're breathing, is an indication that God is not through with you yet. And you're created for his glory, for the edification of man, but we're all created for God's glory, not to build bigger barns. And by the way, God doesn't mind us having stuff. He don't want stuff having us. But we are conduits. The Bible says we are created unto Christ Jesus, here we go, unto good works that he hath prepared in advance for us. What does that mean? God created the work and he created us. He birthed us to tend to the work. And so the worst thing that we can actually do is to become distracted with worldly things as opposed to kingdom things. And my guest today, my goodness, he has such a story. It is inspiring. It is encouraging. Well, you know what? Let me just go ahead and introduce him. Justin Gordon is a native of Texas, but he spent most of his time, his early years, in Shreveport, Louisiana. He is currently an experienced project manager with Thrash Commercial Contractors of 9 years. He's a highly respected professional with a demonstrated history of working in the construction industry. His body of work includes being skilled in AutoCAD, negotiations, petroleum, gas, and computer literacy, as well as being a chemical laboratory technician, field leader with Halliburton, and manager of design and construction operator with one of the most recognized eateries in the Mississippi region, McAllister's Development Corporation. Justin earned his Bachelor of Science from the University of Southern Mississippi, with a focus in agricultural engineering and a Bachelor of Architecture from Louisiana Tech University. He is married to my friend, Pam Gordon. My goodness, what a person she is, who is the president. She currently serves as president and chief operating officer with Story Financial Partners, or Story Financial Bank, formerly First Commercial Bank. He and Pam have two beautiful children They're very active and they have an entrepreneurial spirit themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, I am blessed to have my friend, Justin Gordon. Justin, welcome to Defining Moments, man.
Thank you, Larry. I really appreciate it. It's humbling to hear a lot of those words come off the paper.
And you know what? I could have read more about your body of work, but I probably would have embarrassed you.
Yeah, probably.
And I probably would have been chastised by you after the program.
Yeah. I would have definitely turned red.
Justin, I know that you're a busy person. I know that you move at the speed of light. You and Pam both. You're just busy people, but you're not busy bodies, just worthless things and useless things. But the things that you're engaged in life, whether it is at work or community engagement, man, you do it with the spirit of excellence. And when you walked in this morning, man, you were walking in throttle up. Where do you get that energy from?
Well, I think for me, and it's been, now that I'm getting older, it's been that way as long as I can remember, and my remembering back is kind of catching up to the age. And I say that loosely, seriously. I feel young at heart, but it has been that way for as long as I can remember. You know, get the feet on the ground and start moving with some intention. You know, that's it, now it's just how it is, and I'm so thankful. I was just talking a few days ago with a gentleman. It's like, Justin, you're always going. You know? And I tell folks, and I heard this from somewhere. I wish I could quote it, but you know, my feet hit the ground, and I'm already at 7,500 miles an hour. Right, all we do is just keep going. Right, so. But I think you said something interesting. You know, moving with intention. You know, and having some kind of focus. In all honesty, and this is not a cliche thing, and you'll hear many of these things come out of my mouth, I know it's God moving me.
Yeah.
And there are many days where I wake up and I'm sore.
Yeah.
And the alarm seemed like it went off a little early.
Yeah.
You know, or how about one of those days where you close your eyes and you open them up and it's 6 hours later and it's time to go again. You just don't feel rested, if you will. But those feet hit the ground, you start moving, and you start doing what you're supposed to.
You know what? When people look at you now, when they consider Justin Gordon now, they revel over your resume, all of the things that you've been able to accomplish in your leadership position. Man, when you talk about commercial construction, like huge projects, around the state of Mississippi, your hand has touched it some kind of way. Your hand, your wisdom, your intellect has touched it some kind of way. But it hasn't always been that way. Mm-hmm. You know, when and you're not an arrogant, prideful, narcissistic kind of person, but when they look at you, you know, it's like, man, you've made it. You've always had a silver spoon in your mouth.
So that's interesting to hear that. I guess, like you said, my mind doesn't see that. I was just saying that we do a men's devotional in our office every Tuesday morning, and it's weird that we're talking about this, but you know, I don't see a lot of those things. You know, I see that I try to stay very humble in what I do because I know where I come from. You know, and I don't ever really forget that. I don't find myself ever getting caught up, and I say ever from a good place, right? Not an arrogant place. But I'm blessed beyond measure where my life is today. It's saying that right now, it almost gives me chills on my arms and in my body to and you know, it strikes some kind of weird feeling because I can go back to a boy like that, you know, in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you don't forget the one thing or life, you know, that. So when I see today, and many people, obviously with my wonderful wife, she's been very active most of her life. I'm very blessed to be able to do these things and to help and to fundraise and be a part of. I don't mind painting in the back corner. That's where I thrive my best. I don't even want. I like back of house.
Yeah, whistle when you work.
I like back
you're one
of
of those
house
guys.
Stuff. Yes.
Well, you know what? You mentioned her name Pam, and you're a newlywed, man. You know,
yeah.
you know, when
yeah.
shared, you know, when Pam shared that she was getting married, and to you, and I said, my goodness, man, I can hardly wait to meet him because of her energy, her love for family, her love for people, her love for the Lord. And I said, boy, he must be one heck of a guy. And there you go, man. I love that picture.
Yeah.
I love that picture. What a beautiful family, man.
Yeah. It's
Your son,
yeah, that's my son, Jace. Yeah, right there on the left.
and now your daughter.
Oh yeah, Holly. Yeah, you know, and you know, I've been around their family for just a few short years, right? And things it was meant to be. You again, the cliche stuff. It just, you know, I prayed, she prayed. I'm sure others were praying, but you know, I think organically, love that word from earlier. Let those things happen. You know, let God do the magic, because I can get in the way of many things. I think we all
So
can.
at this stage of your life, what are you praying for, and what did you sense that Pam was praying for? All right, because you know you have appreciable success with your career. She has appreciable success in her career.
Yeah. I don't, you know, I think when I was young in faith and my relationship was in its infancy at best.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
My prayers were different then.
Okay, I
we
got it.
needed a bag of money at the front door.
Sure.
Right. And God had different plans, of course. But I think now maybe the relationship with God more mature, you know. I don't think of those kind of things. Now, I don't want to live under a bridge or under a tent. Not that anything's wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I've been right there with that. But I think now it's a peace, you know, just a peace or a serenity that I just chase in everyday life, from the office to here with you.
Serenity and peace.
Yeah.
You chase.
Yeah. And she offered that. The family offered that. I could see my son's eyes light up. I mean, her daughter, I mean, you know, I watch over her. I mean, she might as well be my daughter. I mean, she, of course, has a father and a family that love and watch over her.
Yeah.
But you know how it is. I mean, you can see the picture. You don't, you know,
It's not
ain't
fake.
nobody going to mess with that. Jace will tell you the same. You know, they might be like, you know, gasoline and matches, but we get out in the public or, you know, travel or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we're the new bodyguards,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I mean, file right in. There is no have to think about it. It just happens, and that's kind of how the relationship was. You know, it's not this. I'm not going to say things aren't without works now that you're a day-to-day marriage.
Exactly.
But us courting each other, you know, dinner dates, you know, hanging out through the day, doing functions around town. You know,
But you were a bachelor for a while.
I
But
was.
But now you're in a union with another person.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what have you learned about that you have to be acutely aware of, that, you know what, I just can't fly out there and do stuff.
Oh yeah, no, my mind. I mean, even from a boy to today, I'm very loyal, and loyalty during a journey of loyalty every day ain't roses. You know, there's going to be the tough days.
Now that's real talk, Justin.
I mean, you know, hey, look,
That's
I'm
real talk,
talking
man.
about you get the stomach bug.
That's right.
That's all I got to say there. And
That's
are you
right.
are you loyal then?
That's-
you know,
ooh.
do you helping them? Are you holding the hair? Hey, do we got to run to the store? You know, or maybe the days where you are dog tired, you just ain't got much to say, but that doesn't reflect on your spouse. You just tired. It ain't nothing to do with them. Hey, I'm tired. It's been one of those days.
That's real
Still
talk.
love you, but I really probably need to take a minute, right? And I think the understanding, I mean, even to the kids, you know, and as silly and simple as that might sound, now multiply that, and I only hope, you know, year 1, year 2, year 5, year 10, start understanding some of those things and those basic concepts. Life will hit you hard enough without the place of coming home and being loved on by people. You know, it's hard enough out there. You know, you need to come here where it's nice. And I think I try to keep that in mind, you know.
You're intentional that I need to be present.
Not 100%.
Not only physically, but emotionally engaged.
Emotionally big, you know, because my boy and I mean, we're all guy. right? Like, let's get in the mud, let's
Right.
go hunt. We're
Let's
all
go.
boy.
Right.
And, when it comes to emotion, it's different than a girl. I think us guys can express emotion, and we're
Yeah.
like, all right, that's big emotion for a guy. Well, females, I think, are a little more, and that's a good thing. Hey, it keeps me grounded and in tuned, but coming in and being intentional with that as well, and understanding of that, they're different.
So for those guys or ladies that feel that I'd love to be in a relationship, I'd love to get married again, whether they were once married or never married, but now they're nearing their late 40s and 50s, and it's not going to happen. How would you encourage them based upon your experience and you pray?
Yeah. My experience I would say the prayers, because never are you, when you're hurting and alone, or you feel like you're alone, God's always there with you. But there are times in my life, it felt like he was a little further away, which he wasn't, So once you get out of yourself, right? Poor me, pitiful me, right? Is
Hold on, Justin. You're very methodical in your choice of words, and you're very analytical, and that's powerful. You said it felt like God was far away,
yeah.
but he wasn't. That's powerful.
He wasn't, and that is, that's that relationship thing. Either you can be dating or you can be straight together. And I think in a time of turmoil in my life, whether I'm doing wrong or whatever it might be, it could be just the whole world hammering down on you. God has his timing. It ain't my timing. And so those prayers look like, God, just do with me what you're supposed to do. I don't know what that is. And that's scary. That's faith. That's that big word everyone tosses around all the time. Well, there's some real action behind that, and for me, and it's scary. I'm a guy. I can get it done. Right. And in that instance, it was really having to rely on faith, because I didn't know what was coming. I love, you read the resume. I like steps 1, 2, 3, 4,
right.
Build the building,
That's
foundation. Right. I do well there. I like that, right? With God and I's relationship, it ain't step 1, 2, 3, 4. He has a plan, and it's not in neon signs for me. It's not out there on Lamar on I-20 telling me, Justin, do this today. There's a lot of faith that I have to rely on with him. And that's what I did. I was like, God, just use me. I started looking back, sitting here, thinking back, which is pretty interesting, is, I started being a little more active, get out of the house a little more, get a little more involved in church. I was always involved in my son's life, loved being a dad and being active and busy. But, what about myself? What about others? Am I helping others? Just start to do some things like that in the community. Nothing big. Again, back of house stuff. Hey, I'll come in on a Saturday afternoon for a few hours in the kitchen. And there ain't no but a couple of folks back there. But to me, that was a lot better than, self-pity and whining in the living room. And that was him guiding me. I didn't have that courage. I didn't have that muscle. He was just moving me. Now, that ain't no magic carpet. I got to get in the truck. I got to start it, and I got to get down there. You got to be that word. We're going to say that a lot. Yeah.
So Jesus came to a man who had been at a pool. This is a story of the Bible. The man had been at a pool of Bethesda for 38 years. He was paralyzed. Jesus came to the man and said, do you want to be made whole? And the man says, well, every year angel would come and trouble the water, and somebody would jump in front of me, and they would be healed. Jesus didn't even entertain his response. He says, get up and walk. I alluded to, before coming on the air, I said there are people who have decided to get off the mat and put the mat on them and to move up and to move out. You're that person, Justin, because of your early years. Because it could have gone the other way. You could have elected to go the other way. You could have elected to be a terror on society.
Yes.
But you chose not to. Your story is one of inspiration. Your story is one of encouragement. When I had an opportunity to sit down with you and you share your story, people, my wife said all the time, people look at your glory, but they don't know your story.
Yeah, that's. I'm going to use that, by the way.
Yeah,
I like
they
that.
they look at your arrival,
Yeah.
and they don't know your journey,
I know.
and you have such an encouraging, inspiring journey, Justin.
Yeah.
Because you could have chosen to wreak havoc on society because you were a bad boy.
Yeah.
Why don't you share that? Your growing up years.
Well, I'll try to keep it as broad as possible. It's like we spoke in the beginning. A humbling earlier life. Yes, I think a single parent home, and I used to say differently when I was younger about my mother, and I don't anymore.
Yeah.
But she did the best she could with what she had, and I think a lot of things that happened in that time. We were very poor. For me, we lived in a city area, Shreveport. And during that time frame throughout the U.S., many of us can look on Netflix and go catch a special, but for me, that's where I lived. We were in a gang and drug-stricken area when gangs were prevalent. Obviously, I don't live that life anymore. I can see TV. I can drive through our local city here or any other city for that matter. But then I was living in that, and I became a part of that. It wasn't hide in the room. It was come out. We were a predominantly African-American community. I remember I'd get on the bus and there was 3 or 4 white kids. The school was about 85% African-American, the rest white, Hispanic, etc. I made a choice then, instead of getting beat up every day, that I chose to get beat up once. I joined, whatever the
Right.
gang of the
Sure.
time was. But in doing that came it was nothing positive. But for me at the time, that's what I had. There's nothing at home, right? Poor. I mean, I don't know how many folks have had a mayonnaise and mustard sandwich, but as a child or a young teen, when you open the cabinets and that's what you got, you start looking outside of the home, right? And I'm not saying that was every day, but that was enough for me to say this story. I think at that time, gangs offered a different life. I wasn't hungry when I was with them. And I mean literally hungry.
Come on, Justin.
I was hungry for many things.
Come on.
Looking back, but they offered those things, and they offered them in that community. And I thought I was going to be here, and this was it. And as time went on, and this is a few short years, right? Because in that world, days feel like weeks. It is long. It felt like I was there for many years into that. Very active in that, very troubling in that. Had received my own troubles with that. Nothing productive to society. Destruction to society. Was very involved, and they loved me. They accepted me. They accepted a white boy into that community, and that's real. And for me, I didn't see color. I saw folks that, hey, Justin, come with us, because that wasn't happening at home, So, looking back and coming from that, what I did see is the glimmer of outside of the community. All of them vary. But outside of the community, I would see better. Like, oh, well, there's a nice part of town. You hear it in every city. Oh, well, over there, it's nice over
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
I'm not saying they ain't got their problems
That's
behind
right,
the doors,
that's right.
but well, they
Yeah,
way different
yeah.
than over here.
That's right.
So I was like, what does that look like? Let me befriend some of those people. And I think by being white, I could move through both of the communities. But when I would get in the homes and around the other teens and their parents knew I was no good. Now, the kids or the gals, they thought that was cool. He come
Yeah.
from the other side of
That's right.
town. But I could meander through both. But what it did give me, and this is no relationship with God. I knew the church house, right? There's one on every corner in the South. I know what a church is. I walked around the church. But what it did let me see is that there is a better way of life. Didn't know what to do. Didn't know how to do it. Didn't know how to get it, but I knew it was better than where I was living. Now, that's nothing to do with my mama because I was making a lot of my own choices at that time. So I got put out at a young age for being bad and on the streets. Like I said, I was telling the guy earlier, I was walking down I-20. I was 17, 18 years old, walking down I-20 with the clothes on my back and nowhere to live.
Wow.
I slept on an exit from I-20 to 55. Could have been maybe somewhere past Terry Road or something like that. I was heading towards south. But down past Terry Road, where you turn 55 south, you got McDowell Road, Terry Road, and you just kind of keep going down south towards Terry. I remember going off the side of the road, and I'm getting off on a tangent.
That's
here.
all right. And by the way, for those interstates and roads and routes that you're mentioning, for those that tune in and stream from out of the state, those corridors are inside the state of Mississippi. In fact, I-20 is a major corridor, in east-west,
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
For the United States. But
Yes.
continue your story.
Anyway, I'll never forget. I ended up sleeping on the side of the road. I did. It was cold. Started a fire, and a man. It's a police officer. Couldn't tell you who, from, where, how, and this has been many years ago. But I remember he got me and went to one of the juvenile facilities here in state. Still, I didn't know of that, but I do remember that. And so that's real, and that's the truth. That's God's honest truth. Walking down the side of I-20 homeless. I didn't wake up then by far. I didn't know, because now I got the bed and the little food at the comfort's back. It took a few years after that.
I want you to put a pin right there.
Yeah.
And that was a hard pin. I want you to put a pin right there. You talk about how, and you say it with such glee and effervescence and excitement every time I hear you talk about him, your son and your daughter.
Yeah.
How important, what would you tell fathers, particularly fathers? What would you tell fathers? How important is it for fathers to be engaged, to be present in the lives of their sons and their daughters? Yes. Particularly their sons, but inclusive of their daughters. How is it important for you to be, let's just put it this way, how important is it to be involved and present in the lives of your children? What would you say? In fact, I want you to look at that camera and talk to them.
I would say, if you got kids, whether they're steps, halves, or your children, it's your responsibility to be a parent. And that ain't just putting food on the table. That ain't just putting a roof over a head. That is parenting your child to make them a productive member, loving, caring member of society, not just in your house doing them little chores over at the neighbor's house. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. There's so many things there. It is your responsibility. You want babies, you got them. You got to raise them. It's that simple. My son was born, and it was immediate, protective, loving, caring. Not because I came from none of that. Now that my people might have loved me. I didn't feel that. I didn't see that. They wasn't trying and digging and working hard and come out of nothing to something as they were going in it. Maybe had something to do with that. Sure. Hey, your past can reflect a future. But I knew I was going to be a father to my son. I knew I was going to be present.
Wow.
I didn't know, now he's 18. I didn't know what that meant all in between.
Sure. None of us do, Justin. None of us do. It's a step by. There's no book. Now, people can give you advice and thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
But every situation is different.
Everyone is different. I have, and obviously, I say responsibility. That's a core thing. You want kids. There you go. You got them now. But I loved them. I love him. Pam, being around her, I love Holly. I mean,
That's your daughter.
The
daughter that
how them boys treating you? How's it going at school? How's your activity? Drop what I'm doing. Try to rate because she's busy.
Yeah.
Getting busy like mama. So I try to race to whatever next thing she's got
Yeah.
going on to be present.
That's important.
I might not have the best things to say. I can tell you a 50-year-old man ain't got all the best things to say to a 14 going on 15-year-old teenage girl.
Yeah.
Girls are different.
Yeah.
But being present,
That's-
listening and paying attention
that matters.
will help you know what to say.
Yeah, that matters. All right. Part B of that question. Part 1 is fathers need to be present.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
Second of all, for those that were on the interstate, for those that feel like giving up, I've made some bad decisions. There's no value inside of me. There's no future. I've been put out of my house. I've walked away from my house. I just feel useless. How would you encourage them? Based upon how God has used you. Because there's some
Whoa,
folks,
that's-
Justin, there's some
that's-
folks that's still on that pallet.
Yeah. No,
And they've done this. I might as well just, this is my destination.
You know, it's funny. I like what you said right when you started the deal, Mr. Larry, is if you're breathing, God ain't done with you. And that sounds so easy when you ain't hurting. See, I've been hurting. I know what hurt is. I know what give up is. I've done it. I laid on my floor alone, no kid there, no Pam, no job, no buddy, no nothing, on that floor hurting and wanting to give up. And all I knew to do was ask God to help me. You sitting wherever anyone is, anywhere at any time, I ask God to help me. Larry read off at the beginning of the deal how God's been helping me. You know, he said, a man told me one time, he said, God can move mountains, but you got to bring a shovel. I think I said that last time you and I spoke. I can't just keep laying on the floor and hoping he's going to give me everything while I'm laid down there. But I had to surrender to God. Now, the next day wasn't perfect. All the accolades didn't show up the next day. I had to get up. I had to get that shovel. And I had to walk with intent. And I had to serve God the best that I could. When I wanted to do wrong, when it was easier to do wrong, to get that sense of love, joy, money, freedom, don't do it. Do it the right way.
I believe, Justin, and for those of you that are watching, I believe that the question that Jesus asked the man wasn't an open-ended question that he wanted to get a response. I think it was more of a statement, a rhetorical question than it is an open-ended question. Jesus says, do you want to be made whole? In other words, do you want to? Do you really want to get up from where you are, quit throwing a pity party, quit talking about the glass being half empty? Do you really want to? My question is, wherever you are, you may be going through some adversity, some hard seasons. My question is, my statement to you is, first of all, you don't have to stay there. Number two, the Lord recognized that you are there. You're on his radar. How do I know that? Because you're listening to this program and you're watching this program. Number three, he cares. And lastly, do you really want to? My friend Kyle Reno is going to actually address that in his Cross Gates Defining Moments. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after his sermonette.
Hey, my name is Kyle Reno, Senior Pastor at Cross Gates Baptist Church. Here's a defining moment from this last Sunday.
And not only do you have blessings to embrace, but secondly, you have enemies to engage. You have an enemy. And I'm telling you, being passive in this will not work. The enemy's glad for you to say, if I don't bother you, you won't bother me. He says, sure, I'll be good about that, but he's going to still bother you. He's still going to mess with you. He's still going to keep you ineffective. And so as we come to it, what does it say? Well, let me just go on down. We're going to start in verse 10 and read down through the first part of verse 14 here. Let me just read this. It says, finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm. Stand, therefore.
Hey, thank you for taking some time to listen to that defining moment from this last week. If you'd like to listen to the sermon in its entirety, you can go to crossgates.org, and we would love to have you visit with us any week on any of our Sunday experiences or our midweek opportunities. I'd encourage you this week to take some time and really think about what moments right now are defining your destination. God has more in store for you. Hope to see you soon.
Hey, welcome back to my program today. I am so delighted to have my friend, Justin Gordon. He's sharing his testimony. And that sounds real religious and theological. He's sharing his story. When people look at Justin driving that nice looking truck, married to a beautiful corporate executive, Pam, two wonderful, high energy, passionate, entrepreneurial spirit children, they look at the fact that he's a successful project manager with Thrash Commercial Construction of 9 years and a resume of hard work and appreciable success. They're like, man, you've had it made all your life. And you say, and Justin says you can't read the book by the cover, can you, brother?
No, you really can't. I say it all the time, people. It's humbling to accept thanks or hear things like that, right? It's because I know where I come from. I'm very thankful. I'm blessed. I'm blessed beyond. I don't even know what to say. I can't even believe. I can't believe I'm here. Right?
But you prayed.
Yes.
One thing from the very beginning of you sharing your story. Yeah, you say, okay, I was a heathen. You didn't use that word. I was a heathen. I've done some wayward things.
Oh yeah.
But along the way of you sharing your journey and your story, you kept praying.
Yeah.
Even and having faith, even not necessarily knowing what all of that meant.
100%.
You knew that there was something better. There was something inside better.
100%.
Better than where you came from, or better than where you were at that point.
100%. And you're right. I didn't know what it was. It was bigger than me. And I'm no fool. Anyone, anywhere, you drive by probably about 10 church houses. You know, whatever the religion might be.
Yeah.
But for me, I didn't have a relationship with Christ. I didn't have a relationship, and we all know what the word relationship means. I didn't have one. I began to try and have one. Happening today on the way to the office this morning, I'm in the truck. You drive by me, you see my mouth moving. I might have an AirPod in my mouth. I might just be talking out to God. You can call me crazy or call me whatever you want to call me. At the end of the day, I'm looking to get into heaven, not in your passenger seat.
But you know what? You just said something, Justin. You said, I don't know what that religion is. There's a building on every corner called church. But you said something powerful. You said relationship.
Huge.
At the end of the day,
Huge.
It's all about relationship,
Huge.
isn't it?
It's a big deal because the relationship means anywhere. So when you're in the church on the corner, you're in Tahiti, you're whining in self-pity on the floor in your house, you're in your car, you're at work. Well, right here, you know that a relationship moves around everywhere. So that's important to me. And I didn't learn that out of the gate. I wish I'd have caught it sooner. Hey, it might be greater on paper, right? You know, and I don't say that in a negative way.
Sure, absolutely.
But what I am saying is, I didn't have a relationship with Christ. I knew of religion. right? Be there on Sunday.
this,
sit
do
down.
that.
Here's the plate. Here, the choir, read. Those are great things. And I'm not here to sway any.
I
human
got
being. I'm not. I need to be doing more of that, right? But that's good and great. Where's your relationship?
So when did the bell go off? All right. Now, let me say this. My uncle said years ago, 40 years ago, he's in heaven now. He says, when you think that there is no more growth, you know all there is to know. He said, you become useless. All right. He said, you become a Christian, but sanctification is a process, meaning that you don't become sinless. You just sin less each and every day. All right.
That's a good one too.
Yeah. You don't become, when you become Christian, you don't become sinless. You just sin less. But now you realize that you have an advocate, so that when you do, not permission to do,
Right.
a green light to do, but when you do, now you have an advocate to know that you need to go to him and repent, confess and repent,
Yes.
and he'll cleanse you from all unrighteousness. But so when did the bell go off and you say, I don't like this anymore? It's going to go either way.
I say a couple of times in my life. I ended up in jail one, and never are you more in tune with the Lord until you're hurting.
That's right.
I'm very fortunate now. I'm doing better, and when the great and the gracious and the wonderful things you've read off happen, I'm beyond thankful to God for those things or moments. But that started way back. I would say a couple of times in my life. I'd just come out of jail. I was doing some very wrong things. Those were pending charges that are expunged. Thank you, Hinds County. And many years and much work. But I was going nowhere fast, in a real hurry. And I prayed God to save my life. And very quickly after that, things started turning in my life. Slowly, years, slowly, but better than right there. I watched many people forget the moments of pain. They remember the moments of glory. They forget the pain.
Oh, I'm going to write that down.
Don't forget. And I'm not saying, well, if you live in it now, you self-pity, right? So that's a double-edged sword you got to watch out for. I think remembering the pain and the cry to God, He saved my life. He saved my life. He didn't show up. There was no angel, no wings. The burning bush moment that's in the good book, that didn't happen. I went to bed and it was the next day. And it was a little bit better. And the next day, and the next day. And don't get me wrong, there was plenty of tribulations each day. Right? I'm coming from being not good to crying to God for help and being intentional with trying to say, hey, I don't know what's next, but it can't be this. We ain't dumb. You know when you're doing wrong. You know when you're self-loathing. You know when you're doing wrong. And I didn't want to do it anymore because it's got me in this pain. That clipped along for many years. Many accolades happened. Actual things I could touch and do because I knew God saved me and He started moving me for His purpose, not my purpose. My purpose had me laying right there, hurting, upset, depressed, whatever hat you want to put on it, it wasn't good. Years went on. I wouldn't say I got complacent in my relationship with God. I would definitely say I got too comfortable. I don't know the right word that I'm looking for.
That's a good one.
Complacent could be
That's
the
a
word.
good one.
He's there with me, and I know He's there. And I'm not being an arrogant human being, but I'm not cultivating that relationship.
I got it.
Guys have dated a girl. You date the girl, and you don't call her, you don't take her out, you don't do. Well, there ain't no girl. Obviously, that's inhuman. God, He's just standing there. I mean, that's a two-way relationship.
That's a great example.
Yeah, that's a two-way relationship. Hey, I need to talk. I need to be doing right. I need to be acting right to the best of my ability. And I think years went on and many good things happened that He led me to, Mr. Larry, beyond anything ever. And I found those things had slipped away from my complacency with my relationship with God. I thought I was in the driver's seat. And I did, and I did. And I know he carried me, and I gave him his shout out, if you will. But I moved him into the passenger seat. I got behind the wheel, and I was driving. And he's sitting right over there. And I didn't need him. I didn't need his help. He didn't tell me where to turn left. If he said left, I'm taking a right. I had it. All the good things were going on. I did that, right? Or so I thought. Well, God's a good reminder. You know, he's way bigger than all this down here, in my opinion. And I find myself just a few short years ago laying on that cold floor in a little house, balled up. Wasn't even crying. I was. It was more of a moan and sorrow. It was pain I'd forgot long ago. I'd forgot the day that I cried out to God and asked him to save my life from doing all this wrong.
Jesus.
And I don't want those reminders anymore. So I even more accolades to today, but more of a relationship. And I'm getting on up in age. Age is relative, but 50, you ain't going backwards. But yeah, I laid on that floor, and I didn't want to go on anymore. I'd hurt. I'd lost love. I felt alone. It'd be a room of 100 people, and I'm alone. And that's all me. I mean, I'm just telling you my story. Everybody's different. And I ain't worried about everybody. I was worried about myself right then and there, not wanting to live in this world anymore. I was done here. But I knew long ago I'd cried out to God to help me. And that's the best prayer I had. And I'm sorry to get emotional. I swear I am. I'm sorry. But when you do things like that in human beings, and I don't think it takes that for human beings. You don't have to hurt that hard for him to save your life. You know, you don't. You don't have to be, it's all gone, and I'm laying right there. You don't have to be on the I-20s and saying, God, help me. You don't have to cry years ago from being a thug, criminal, derelict in the world and cry for help. You can do it right now. We can do it right here. As a matter of fact, I do it every day. Just God, help me and lead me. The simplest prayer I heard a man say, he said, all you got to do is tell him thank you. He'll handle the rest. I always thought that was weird. Now, that's an older gentleman. You know, when you start talking to them 70, 80-year-old cats, they got it figured out, you know, especially when they're tuned up in their relationship. I was like, I walked away. But anyway, I'd cried out to God a few years back and asked him to help me. I did. He picked me up off that floor, and I hurt and I moaned. My co-workers, you know, I did my job, always work, stuff. Here comes my boy. Oh, son, what do you need? I'm here. You know, everyone could see it. Everyone could. They'd all would. You okay? Yeah, I'm fine. You know how us guys got. We're fine. Whole arm laying on the ground, talking about you're doing good. But yeah, I had gotten complacent in my relationship with God, and I asked him to. I had to ask him to help me.
How do you deal with the tough guyness of Justin in relationship with the loving heart, the softness of Justin? I'm not saying that you're schizophrenic, but
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
Because you are a man's man. You can look
Sure.
at Justin. I say that.
Sure.
But beneath that hardness, that man's man, there's such a soft heart in Justin. How do you live with the both?
You know, I'm going to try to give you the best answer I can. I don't really have a beat on that 100%. I mean, it sounds like I got a beat on a lot of things that I know because they're facts happen. I think this is still a thing evolving in my life today. So that's a good question. I will say, some of that I ask for. I do. There's a lot of, and I'm just going to be all frank right here, Mr. Larry. I try to be just as forward as I can with you and anybody I run into. I think there's a lot of soft human beings in this world, and that's okay. I think in my heart, and again, this is my ongoing wonderful relationship with God, is I've asked Him for me to be tough and hard, and there are many way tougher, way harder, and way in tune with God. And that's that journey I'm on, right? I'm learning. I mean, I looked at some of the man's man, like, ooh, like I'm like a boy amongst them, and they are just as tuned up with the Lord, and they love their people. They love me. They love you, and they're good. They're selective with demonstrating it. I've learned in this world that I can open up my heart, and I love to love. I used to say that, try to pick up girls. I don't do that anymore. That's been a long time ago, by the way. We talking decades ago.
Yeah.
That must have worked at some point. But I do. I love seeing people's joy and happiness. And the tough guy, or the tougher side of me, battles with that. So I don't have the best answer. How do
you keep yourself checked up to stay out of the driver's seat and make sure God stays in the driver's seat and
that's part of my daily routine. That's that daily prayer. That's
yeah.
God has had a good way of keeping me humble. And the older I've gotten, the more that He doesn't have to slap my hand as hard.
Wow.
It's,
yeah.
I can see it, and everyone's different. I mean, I only know for me.
Yeah.
I've witnessed people that got it earlier.
Yeah.
I'm like, man.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to call it being here now. Looking back, I'm like, she had it. He had it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
If I was still around him, I'll go back to him. Hey, I know what you were doing back then.
Yeah.
And I'm on it now.
Yeah.
Pumped up.
Yeah.
Get in my lane. Stay where I need to be.
But you know what? I don't crucify people for saying, if they say, I just now got it, and they may be 50, 60, 70 years old. I'm like, that's less important. What's most important is you got it.
You got it. I know. And that's kind of where it is for me. You can hear I'm in my journey to the end.
And so am I.
And
so am I. And if 100% of people were honest, they would also say, I'm in my journey. No one has arrived.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
It's a process. It's a pruning process. It's a refining process.
Yes.
And for anybody to say otherwise, they're just being they're being naive.
Oh yeah.
Or they're just being manipulative.
Well, He'll help you out with all that. Yeah.
Listen, so let's talk about some of the grand projects that you've been involved in. We talked about your story, and I've talked about you being a celebrated project manager, man. I mean, now you said it. Now I'm going to be nice because you're bigger than I am. Now I want you to jump over this table. Now you called yourself a thug. I did. Now you go from a thuggish life to being a celebrated project manager on some of the most celebrated structures in the region of Mississippi, Humphreys Coliseum at Mississippi State University.
Yeah, that was a tough project. They had a good team from the folks at Mississippi State University. They got a lot going on there. That's big campus, big
constant renovation, constant development.
Yes, they're doing super. And I would say most of the campuses across the state are doing super. That was a unique job. That was an old building.
Yeah.
An old,
Humphreys
well-built
Coliseum.
building. Yes.
I remember that building in 1972 when Andre Crouch did a concert in the Humphreys Coliseum. My sister
Yeah.
was a student there.
Good design team. Well, they had their challenges. The construction team, man. I tell people this all the time. I'm very fortunate to be one of a bunch of people. I think we had at our max time we had 210 personnel working on this job.
Wow.
You know, and obviously there are many projects. We can turn on TV and see bigger jobs. To this is a big job for us. That's
Yeah.
what mattered.
Yeah, and this is with Thrash.
This is with Thrash, yeah.
And you constantly talk about how much you appreciate working with them
Oh,
because you know they're, if you will, big box,
Man.
commercial construction company.
Yeah,
But
man.
and you have the capacity to work with them, but it's by choice
Yes.
that you're working with Thrash because of the family oriented
Oh, man,
mentality that they have.
Great group. I can't say enough about them. Of course, they're. We were just in our devotional there this morning.
Devotion.
This is in the
Man, that's
conference
unheard
room of the facility. We have
a
folks tuning
major
in from
commercial
Alabama.
construction company.
Yes.
And now you're having devotion.
Yes. It's invited. I mean, email goes out. You can all join whenever you want to. But yeah, I mean, for me, that says enough.
And you have
Right.
another project as well, Holmes Community College.
Oh yeah, Holmes, man. Yeah, we're
You guys are not just
we're-
doing buildings, you're doing campuses.
Yeah, we're at Homes right now. Love architect. Yeah, it was Dale Partners at the Hump. Love them. We had our challenges, like JH&H Architects. And this is no shout out. This is just that these folks are here in town. I mean, they're local people to our area, and like them. Homes. I mean, they've been great. I think they're happy to. The rendering, it'll be the rendering in the picture for sure. It
And you
will be.
guys
They
are-
all have.
But you guys, I mean, Thrash is synonymous with, I mean, if you're in the Jackson metropolitan area,
You know of us for sure.
because you
They're
guys
trying to make a footprint over in Huntsville right now.
Okay.
we doing some good stuff there, but I just get to kind of like, share, subscribe. to
Yeah,
what they're
I got
doing
it.
there. So,
I got it.
yeah.
I got it. I mean,
But
you
yeah,
got-
we love Homes. It was a good project. They've done some really good ones here.
you guys did the two museums.
Yep. Had a that was when I was just coming on with Thrash. They were finishing that job. Had wonderful. Anytime the president of the United States comes around your project,
Oh, yeah.
you probably did a project.
And I can rattle off several. You guys did Crossgates Church.
Yeah,
You guys
Yeah.
did Morgan White Group.
yeah.
up
That's a pretty building.
It
there
is.
from 55.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, Rick Eden, who's gone on to be with the Lord. When they did the grand opening, he invited me up and he gave me a tour of the building. It's a very pretty building.
It's a pretty building.
It's aesthetically pleasing.
It'll last. 10 years from now, it'll still be looking good. Some construction architecture, it's like, do we need that renovation already? And you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
But the ones we've been fortunate to be a part of, and again, I've only been with Thrash just a short period of time. They've done some incredible stuff. They're real family oriented. They know their employees. Mr. Josh Thrash, Matt McWilliams, Mr. Tommy Thrash even
Yeah.
comes in sometimes. Miss Judy slides in. Very, very good people, very humbled people. I definitely, not because they're my bosses, I just couldn't say anything negative about them.
Why passion as project manager, commercial construction? Where did that passion and without me putting words in your mouth, I mean saying this is where you're supposed to be, as if God called you, that this is more than just a career, it's your ministry.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, you've heard most of the snippets of my life. I always tell folks, coming from nothing and a lot of that being my choice. The financial nothingness, that gets back to the responsibility of parent and parenting. I've seen some of the most loving people in the most humblest of conditions, right? but they're being parents. They're not just putting a roof over your head. They're being a parent. I'm sidetracked there. I don't know where that came from. I loved drawing as a kid. I love kind of tinkering with things. I've had my fair share of swinging a hammer to put food on the table. I don't do that. I'm not afraid of that. I think every job I've gone through, now that my son has his own kind of thing he's doing, since I've been with Thrash, on every job, we grab a broom. I'll never forget, we were doing Northwest High School. Good job, great group. And we were cleaning up. I mean, we were riding around with a trailer, picking up trash and debris and picking things up. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Dad, why are we doing this? You don't have to do this." And I said, "Son, this is what we're supposed to do." I said, "This will keep you grounded." So I think all aspects of seeing, I appreciate the wonderful renderings and where they come from. I appreciate the buildings going together, seeing the people. I mean, everybody has their life. Being a manager, folks come in with problems and you're like, "Why are you so mad?" Well, the thing won't fit to the other thing. And by the time you're done with the conversation, A and B going together is just a blip on the radar, and they're talking about their marriage is struggling.
Oh, wow.
We were just mentioning this. We have one of our superintendents, Mr. Paul. He was talking about, I haven't spent a lot of time with him at all, but you can just tell by a person's demeanor, they're a Christ follower. He's, of course, he keeps his Bible on his desk. And there are men and women who come in and out from the construction site all day long. And, there are opportunities of ministry. I might not necessarily need to be leading, the foreman to Christ, right? But I can be an expression of Christ.
Oh,
a caring heart. Hey, it's going to be okay. You were talking about how the tough guy to the loving heart brother. Is, there are men and women that are in the real world that are struggling. One of my bosses was just saying that this morning, Mr. Josh Thrash, I don't think the calling is build buildings, make money. And, those things, you got to pay the mortgage man, remember? But, glorifying the kingdom of God, some do it from a pulpit and they walk around with the Bible. I don't do that. And that's great for them. I don't have that. I'll forget a scripture in a minute, But for me, being able to witness to someone or just trying to be a Christ-like human when someone's hurting, So it's real neat. I don't know where any of that came from. I don't know where, from my days of drafting and working in architects' offices to being with a wonderful construction company, to see these buildings come together by men and women, huge team well beyond me. I always tell people I make a few phone calls and send some emails. They try to hand you awards, and I say you're handing it to the wrong person. Mm. You need to bring up the 200 people and hand them the award. They're in the cold, they're in the rain.
You said something a moment ago. You said there are those that are behind the pulpit with the Bible, mm-hmm. and they're witnessing the Word of God. Mm-hmm. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
And you're not that.
Yeah, I think
I agree.
I think by saying that, I think anybody could be. I guess what I'm meaning there is, you can be a witness anywhere. Gas station.
So let me say this: you may not be behind the pulpit with the Bible, but you're on defining moments.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Checkmate.
Isn't that something?
I got you on that one, Justin.
Yeah,
You're on defining moments, man.
Isn't that something?
And you're witnessing the Word of God.
Can't believe it. Can't believe it.
And not that this program is this grandiose program, but it's the platform that the Lord has given me to bring people on like you to talk about miracles like that.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
To talk about miracles like that.
Yeah.
When you look at that picture and how good God has been to you, and how good he is to you, what do you say?
That's I ain't got the words.
His grace. It is so profound when the songwriter wrote the song, said, I just can't call it grace. That's Tyler's song. I've got to call it Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
It is so miraculous. It is, you can't realize it.
Yeah.
It is unfathomable.
Oh, yeah.
But I shared with you before the program that there's a lot of runway for Justin Gordon.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm trying to just lean and mean. Look, well, like we talked earlier, we got a few holidays are around the corner. You know, traveling's coming up for everybody. Man, it's just
For those
Can't
for
believe
those for those who would, and I'm going to ask my producer to keep that up. Such a beautiful picture of strength, of courage, resilience, weathering the storm, commitment. For those that feel like giving up, throwing in the towel, not good enough, or they hit hard patches, whether in their marriage, in their journey with God, with life. What do you say? Knowing this, knowing this, that we
we're gonna have a whole nother segment
I
here.
know, Justin. Let me tell you something, because we have to work.
That's
we
tough,
have to
Larry.
work through it ourselves. Like, man, why
know.
do you ask me that question?
No,
And these are the very things that I have to work through myself. And the question that I ask are questions that I have to answer myself.
No, it's good because I've been there asking the question. So as I'm on my journey of fighting this kind of, this kind of tougher mentality for the world, and myself and those around me, and trying to be, a little more, what do they say in the Bible? Tender-hearted, kind-hearted. He uses one or the other in the Bible. Don't make me quote it because I'll jam it all up. But something good-hearted.
Right.
I battle with those today. So the one side of me says, all that whining and crying down on the floor does you no good, but steals your purpose from glorifying God in this world.
Wow.
Now, that ain't no speech. That ain't no thing at all. That's real. Can't get nothing done down there. All that self-pity, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, that ain't getting nothing done for God. All right? That's number one. So we can get all tough about that if we want to. That other side of me will be, I understand. I know pain and suffering. I know hurt. I know feeling it, receiving it, and administering it, and all the feelings that come with it, and it's horrible. But at the end of the day, you got to open that heart up to God. Because if your best doing has put you right there, you might need a little bit of help. And for me, I choose to ask that help from God. And he did it. That ain't nothing special. That ain't nothing special, Jack. I shouldn't be here right now. By far, I can name countless times in my life where I should not be here. I shouldn't be. It's a true miracle that I'm here. And I believe that. And the stories to go with that, I should be dead today. Many I come up with, they are dead. Or they're in prison. And that's it. That's like a 75, 76% rate. Very few got out. I think it's funny, I listen to people today about all their Facebook friends from when they were coming up from school. And I want to say I probably got about 4 or 5. And Facebook's just like, share,
Sure.
subscribe, right? We got 4,000 people, 2,000 people. But I don't see anyone that I come up with. Most of them are dead or in prison. God bless me beyond my measure, Larry. Tomorrow, another blessing. 10 minutes from now, a blessing. Hanging here with you. It's awesome. It's really awesome, man.
Well, I want to tell you that you are a blessing. You're making a difference. Your fingerprint, your handprint is making a difference. I sense you haven't seen nothing yet. I sense that God has so much more for you to do. And though your calling may not be behind the pulpit, you're walking in it right now because you have made an impactful difference in the lives of those that are watching or streaming. So I want to thank you. Man,
Yes,
I tell you what, I got to get you back here.
I love it, man. We can
part
talk
two.
all day. I like you, Mr. Larry.
Well, I like you
You're
too,
easy to
brother.
talk to, man.
Listen.
You're going to have some good guests in here.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen, and this will go down as you being one of my best guests.
Oh, man.
So God bless you. I got to
Yes,
get
sir.
Pam back on here too. All
Yeah,
right.
that'll give you.
So maybe
one
you'll
right
have a
there.
little influence on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And listen, I want to thank you for joining us today. If I have been inspired by anything, the story of Justin, I've been inspired to get off the pallet. Woo! Put the pallet on you because you can't give God glory by laying on the pallet. I'll see you next time.